Should we get started?
Maybe let's just one more minute, and then okay, probably we can get started. People are still joining, but yeah, we'll take over from here. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the first part of the day. We had some stellar talks and tutorial, and we'll continue in the same high note. And it's a great pleasure and honor to introduce our next speaker, Branislav Kisacanin. I hope I'm pronouncing the name fairly okay.
Very good.
So Branislav is a world-renowned expert in embedded computer vision, having published several books and special issues of journals and multiple patents. He had a very prolific career in industry, having worked at top companies in the field like NVIDIA, Texas Instruments, Delphi. And about 1 year ago, Branislav moved back to Serbia from the US as a chief scientist at the Serbian AI Institute. Thank you very much, Branislav, for joining us. And for everyone, please keep sending questions in the Q&A channel in Slack or in the Q&A here in Zoom. And yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Viorica. Thank you very much. And a big thank you to our organizers for putting together such an awesome event. I'll be telling you at a high level about the growing importance of AI. And let's get started. So, just a little bit of recent AI history. The big bang of deep learning has started around 2012 when three areas or three fields converged. First of all, deep neural network architectures, DNNs, GPUs as a really highly parallel way to process our algorithms, and then availability of big data. So yeah, here briefly just introduce the terminology. And as we talk about deep learning as the modern sort of AI, we have to remember that there was AI even before deep learning, but the current expansion is totally unprecedented. So around 2012, what happened, these three areas converged, and the big competition on image recognition, the ImageNet, was won for the first time by a neural network. And since that year, all contestants have been neural networks. And that marked the beginning of this deep learning big bang that we are still enjoying and seeing all around us. As a chief scientist of the Institute, I often participate in different forums, and I often get a question that comes from science fiction: will AI replace us? And I want to address it even in this forum, even though probably everybody will agree with me, but maybe there are some people who are still wondering about the question. So to further scare you with that question, I will put this Terminator picture, really scary stuff, but then I'll also cross it right away. And I'll say that we don't work on that kind of stuff. We are not interested in AI replacing us. We work on AI that makes us smarter. And I'll give you a bunch of examples and how AI really has a growing importance in our lives and will contribute to our success in many fields. Related to all that, I do want to mention an old proverb that I slightly modernized, that water, fire, and the old proverb says electricity, but I would change it to technology. They're great servants, but evil masters. And we do want to remember that. Science fiction is indeed a great reminder for that. So let's remember that. But let's move on to things that I'm trying to argue are making us stronger. Here's a really nice illustration, perhaps not terribly useful, but I think it's a really nice illustration. It's Gauguin by NVIDIA R&D. It's a website that on the left side has an empty box that you can use these little tools to sketch stuff in there. And so, for example, this will be the sky, these here are clouds, these are rocks, and then a body of water here, some rocks sticking out of sand and water, and boom, you press this button and you get a beautiful photorealistic image like this. And if you perhaps don't like the style of it, you can change the style so that it's not perhaps dawn, early morning, maybe it's a sunset, maybe it's midday. Different styles are available. So, you know, I was never good with drawing pictures, especially not photorealistic. So this is making me stronger for sure. And you know, this is, as I said, nice, perhaps not terribly useful example, but at the same level, we have other examples of where AI already makes us stronger. Let's just mention Google search, verbal commands to our smart devices, Amazon recommendations, Facebook recommendations, Tesla autopilot, you know, self-driving cars, financial risk mitigation, medical diagnostics. We also want to mention, be aware of some blunders that happen, and we need to be careful about them, because blunders like this give a bad name to all of us. What I'm talking about here is IBM's really aggressive advertising about Watson being used in medical diagnostics, but that just didn't happen later on. In any case, all these advances are equivalent to a picture I like to share, and it's this. When my kids were born about 20 years ago, a typical ultrasound picture was something like what you see here on the left. And you can see the baby's nose there, and you know, you have to be really lucky to have that in an ultrasound picture. You know, you have to be really an expert, a doctor, to be able to say whether it's going to be a boy or a girl, things like that. Today, thanks to AI being able to gather a bunch of images like this and to put them together in a 3D representation, today we are having ultrasound pictures like what you see here on the right. And this kind of advance, that's what happened in all of these areas. Pretty much previously unsolvable problems are now a routine thing that people are used to. Okay, so this is, I think, a really nice illustration of how far AI already took us and made us smarter and stronger. Before I give you some new discoveries in AI and its applications, I also want to remind you of one really nice property, if you will, of AI as a field. We have really fast commercialization of science in AI. And thanks to that, the global market of AI-based products, last year, it was already about $340 billion worldwide. And this year, it's expected to be around $500 billion. When we were talking to people about founding the Institute a few years ago, the projections were for maybe 2024, 2025 for these $500 billion. It's already happening. So things are growing really fast, and it's really encouraging. Okay. A really nice example here in Serbia, in Novi Sad, where I live, in December last year, a small company called Wonder Dynamics got a really nice investment, $9 million. They do special effects for movies. We don't know exactly yet, they're still in the stealth mode, but I'll just tell you what I really like about them. They have Steven Spielberg in their advisory board. So, you know, something really exciting is happening there. Steven Spielberg, hey, you know, Steven Spielberg. Anyway, really nice things are happening. So I hope to see a lot more of that, not just in Novi Sad, all around Serbia, but the whole region, Europe, the whole world. I mean, things are looking really good. Okay, so let's talk about the latest discoveries in AI. That's what really makes me excited about the whole field. Okay, things are happening really fast and in so many areas. In the past 2 years, we've seen a huge contribution from DeepMind, one of Google's companies, and it's all about predicting the 3D structure of proteins, which really is what determines their function in metabolism, and it opens the doors to so many things in pharmaceutical industry. Really fast discovery of new drugs, even for what are called rare diseases, which were pretty much neglected until now. This opens the door to really fast discovery of new drugs, because previously, if you thought there was a good candidate among proteins for a new drug, you had to really go to the lab, synthesize the protein, do the X-ray crystallography, determine its 3D shape, and then see if it fits into the receptor on the cell that's involved in the disease that you're trying to fight. And it all takes a long time, okay? Synthesis, X-ray crystallography, all of that. Now, with this huge progress, and more has happened since then, people can automate this process and put it on a computer, basically simulate what the protein will look like. And you can see how accurate they can do it. Look at this, the green stuff, the green shape, that's the experimental results, and blue shapes, that's the computational prediction by their AlphaFold program. So amazing things are happening thanks to AI, because you can do this in principle using quantum mechanics and energies and all that stuff, but to calculate all those equations, you need, supercomputers running for hundreds of years. AI is able to learn from a bunch of examples and do these predictions in a much shorter time. So really exciting stuff is happening in that arena. Okay, something totally different, yet pretty much almost equally important, energy. Okay, earlier this year there was a publication in Nature about the control of plasma in tokamak machines, basically to do fusion of hydrogen nuclei into helium nuclei and to get that tremendous energy out of it, just like what's happening in the sun. Or when you don't control it, that happens in hydrogen bombs. We don't want that, of course. If you want a controlled fusion, you need to control the shape of plasma in the tokamak machine. And that's been a huge challenge for physicists for, I don't know, decades. For 50 years, they've been trying to control plasma and get a sustainable source of energy from fusion. Now, what happened, people have tried to teach deep neural networks how these plasmas behave. And of course, yes, there are equations for that, but again, to solve them in real time, to be able to control plasma, pretty much impossible. So what AI was able to do was to learn how plasma behaves, and they achieved a much longer control of plasma than ever before. They even connected it to an actual tokamak machine and demonstrated the benefits. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more work on this, and we are getting closer to sustainable production of energy using fusion, nuclear fusion. Great stuff. Okay, more discoveries just recently. Again, just this year, a team led by Anima Anand Kumar, she's at Caltech and also at NVIDIA. They designed a new network that predicts weather. They call it ForecastNet. And two great things about this new network, new approach, are that they can produce much more accurate weather forecasts for a longer period of time. So you can evacuate people from the path of a hurricane or a typhoon, well ahead of time, and without evacuating people who are not eventually going to be really affected by it. So really important things in that arena. Another thing that's really good about this particular network is that what they achieved was much lower consumption of electrical energy. on the order of 4 orders of magnitude. So 4 orders of magnitude less power consumption. So this thing really doesn't require a supercomputer. Probably every TV station making their own forecast can use their own. So, you know, big progress in that arena. Also very important, very impactful on human lives. Okay. Another thing I would like to mention also this year was the fact that people have achieved machine learning using gradients without doing the full backpropagation. Okay, they were able to calculate gradients in the forward pass already. There is a little problem there. They didn't solve all of it yet. It was really done only for relatively small networks. When they tried it on bigger networks, smaller, what I mean is MNIST type data and networks that can handle MNIST data. When they tried it on bigger networks, that didn't quite work yet, but I'm sure there's a lot of work going on, and pretty soon I'm sure we'll see the 2x speed up in the learning process also for much bigger networks. Maybe I should explain a little bit why working on learning techniques matters. Anything we can achieve and improve in learning process will affect all of the applications of deep learning. So it's really a universal contribution. And I think there's even a bigger goal hidden behind this effort. As Andrew Ng has explained, deep learning has created a revolution already. And if we can improve the learning methods, that revolution will really be amplified and will be accelerated. And what makes us think that we can actually improve upon backpropagation? Well, he says, we know that in our heads, there is a better way of learning. Obvious thing. If we had to teach our kids that, let's say, this is a mouse, this is a mouse, and from all different angles, this is a mouse, this is a mouse, and different light conditions, this is a mouse, we would go crazy. Both kids and parents would go crazy. There must be a better way somewhere in there, and we just have to learn how how biology does it, and see if we can teach our machines how to do it. And that will really accelerate our deep learning Big Bang even further. Kind of like what they have in astrophysics, that dark energy that accelerates the universe expansion over time. Totally unintuitive, but I guess that's how it works. You discover new things and you accelerate the explosion that you already have. Okay, let's see, what else do I have for you here? Okay, this is one of my favorite examples of how AI makes us stronger, okay? And we have our own Petar Veličković here among the authors. In December 2021, Nature has published their paper, and not only published their paper, that's already a huge deal, you know, Nature, hey, Nature. But they put it on their front page. What they did, they used AI to advance math. They guided human intuition using AI. They explored, among other things, properties of topological objects called knots, and explored the connections between their algebraic and topological properties. And AI found some regularities in there. And when they showed that to their mathematician colleagues, mathematicians were actually able to exploit that and prove some theorems for the first time, connecting the algebraic and topological properties of knots. That wasn't a thing before that. They just couldn't see the connections before. Now AI helped guide their intuition. So what I'm trying to argue here is that AI really is helping us be stronger, smarter, help our scientists discover new drugs, new sources of sustainable sources of energy, new mathematical theorems, and you saw the weather forecast. It extends to applications of solving differential equations in other arenas, aerodynamics and all that. So AI is really a great new tool for so many things, and it already is useful for us, and it will be even more useful as the time passes. Okay, so I'll switch gears a little bit and tell you just a little bit about the Institute for AI R&D of Serbia. As I said, the global market of AI-based products is rapidly growing, and our idea was to say, hey, Serbia's got talent, why not put it to work? Why not help that talent win, let's say, 1%? That's almost nothing, 1% of that market. And I think Serbia can do it, because we all probably know that our kids are really successful at international math Olympiads. And what's AI? It's really applied math. So why not really take advantage of all that talent, help them grow and form their own companies, and then, you know, when they get that 1% for Serbia, why not 2, why not 3% of that huge market? You know, that's huge money for a small country like Serbia. So that was the initial idea for founding the institute. Formally, it was founded about a year ago by the Serbian government, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the people next slide. But here, let me conclude this slide by explaining how we intend to work. Okay, we want to be a factory of AI leaders. So we will hire, we will engage in different types of collaborations, employment, people who already know a lot about AI, but we will help them grow even further through mentor projects. We engaged with people, for the time being, mostly of Serbian origin around the world, at universities, industry, who are already well-established AI scientists, you know, great publications, great discoveries. And they were really excited to join us in this endeavor, to work with our researchers and help them grow, help them learn, all in the direction of forming new companies, maybe working for existing big companies and helping them transition into the AI economy. So it all helps work towards that first 1% of the global market. In addition to these mentor projects, which are really exciting things for our mentors and our researchers, because in that way they can faster get to really exciting publications, discoveries, and then forming their own companies. We will also have collaborations with industry in Serbia, abroad, and to help us with all that, we have a great advisory board, both scientists and people from business side of things, who promise to teach us how to form startups. You know, that's not a trivial thing. I have never made a startup, if you don't count the institute as a startup. I never created a startup myself. I don't know how to do it. If I had to go present for the venture capital team, I wouldn't know how to dress. Should I put a bow tie, or, you know, just dress like everyday t-shirt and white socks, a typical scientist dress? I wouldn't know that. I would ask. And I'm sure our researchers are in a similar position. That's why we have a really great advisory board to help us work all these things out. Okay, so that's really the summary of the Institute. Let me tell you a little bit about our people. And this is not even a complete list, because we are rapidly growing. I don't even have time to keep up with you know, my slides and to update my slides. So we have Jelena Mitrovic. She's an expert in NLP, working in that area. Dragiša Žunić, working in fintech, applications of AI for financial industry. Adela Ljajić, she's working in NLP. Dragiša Mišković, also NLP, but also much more. I would really qualify him as a metaverse AI expert, because that's where his research is going, to AI applications in metaverse. We have Slobodan Ilic, he's working in vision and remote sensing. We have Nikola Prodanovic, machine learning in physics, and more generally differential equations, and we saw that. So, and I think I have enough room here to add more people who have joined us since I updated these slides. But maybe next presentation, next year when we get together, I'll give you an update on that. So I think that's pretty much it from my side. Hopefully I didn't step on the time. I'm ready for the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now we're good on time. So yeah, for everyone, please send your questions in the Q&A channel or in Slack or here in Zoom. So maybe I will just kick off. I really enjoyed your presentation, really inspiring, and I also love to hear about the AI Institute in Serbia. I am originally from Romania, and I've been collaborating with people in Romania trying to set up such an institute in Romania as well. We're not there yet, but I'm happy to learn more about your institute and learn from you because I do think we kind of have the same profile for the country. There's a lot of potential. We just need to enable it. We just need to create the proper
cannot
conditions.
tell you how much respect I have for Romanian mathematicians. A really good friend of mine, Titu Andrescu, he used to lead Romanian teams to international math Olympiads and then United States teams, and he always made them superpowers in that arena. He is a really good personal friend of mine, and I have a lot of respect for Romanian mathematicians. So, if you need any kind of experience that I can share, more than happy to share with you. You do have the fundamentals ready, but maybe you need some advice how to speak to politicians. Maybe that's that's what needs to happen.
Definitely we need help on that. So maybe like the one question to kick off. So you've mentioned all these different applications that are very impactful for society, and you told us a bit about the people that are working already in the institute. How do you see the institute positioning itself in the community? Like, what kind of areas would you plan to focus on? To really put the Serbia out there and actually get that 1% of the market.
Yes, well, it's not a big secret that computer vision, NLP, they're the biggest areas of growth in AI applications. And, we have several people working on that. So far, we have about 10 people with PhDs, 10 senior researchers who joined us, and about 10 people who are juniors and working with our senior researchers. And primarily it's NLP, computer vision, and then to a lesser extent, these new areas like applications to metaverse and others. So we didn't specifically hire, it's just the profile of people who were interested in working for the Institute who applied, and we were lucky to get such a diverse group of people. And even within NLP team, people who joined us have diverse backgrounds. Some of them are linguists, some of them are experts in machine learning techniques. So it's a pretty diverse, really great group of people. So we didn't have to fight it in any special way. We got a really good representation of what really AI is in the world. So what really remains for us to do is to help them grow. And I mean, is there anything better to do for a chief scientist than to have a group of talented people and to just look for ways to help them? Nothing better than that.
Yeah, definitely agree there. So there's a question here, and it really relates to another question that I had myself. How do you have a strategy for attracting people from abroad? Because I know Romania is fighting with the brain drain phenomenon for years, and I imagine Serbia as well. Do you have a kind of strategy to attract people back, or even people from abroad, not necessarily Serbians, in the diaspora? What is your What's your strategy there?
Yeah, I don't think we have a big strategy, and I don't even know if there can be one, because people are attracted to different things. You know, some people are attracted to huge opportunities that America offers, and the whole Europe is trying to fight that. Europe has a brain drain towards US in terms of AI. So I don't know that we can really fight it in any active way, but just the fact that we have this institute showed us that people who finish their PhDs abroad, some of them, of course, not all of them, but there is a nice proportion of people who got their PhDs recently. They contact us. They would like to come back. You know, Serbia has its draws, its attractions, and in those cases, we don't have to really fight hard. Just offer them good growing opportunities, and they don't ask for anything else. Of course, people who are much more interested in really fast growth, working at fancy companies, you cannot attract them to Serbia. You know, there will always be a proportion of people who are really aggressive in that sense, and they have to go to America no matter what. As I said, even Europe is fighting that kind of brain drain. But by offering people a nice place to grow, I think we are preventing further brain drain and helping them stay in Serbia.
Yes, definitely, I agree. And this was our motivation as well, to work in Romania towards creating such an institute. And yeah, I gather that you're open to people from anywhere in the world to join the institute.
Yes, we are. We talked to several people who are not of Serbian origin. We have not hired anyone yet who is not originally from Serbia, but we are open to that for sure. Yes.
Great to hear. There's another question, because you mentioned the things that attract people to Serbia. Minja is asking if you see, have you seen a notable difference between working in Serbia and working in the US? Is there something that should be adopted or developed further?
Yes. One of my personal goals is to demonstrate in Serbia that there are ways to work in a different way from what people in Serbia are used to. And, you know, there are many examples. We could use another hour to talk about just that topic. But definitely, you know, Serbia, one thing that I would say is really prominent is lack of mentors in Serbia. Okay, people that you see in this picture and others who have joined us, they did a heroic effort to get a PhD in AI-related disciplines in Serbia, because there was nobody here who could teach them. You know, nobody really experienced and really well connected. So due to a bunch of factors, you know, wars that we had and all that bad stuff, Serbia got a little bit disconnected from the world. And really, people you see here, they're my heroes because they were able to get their PhDs in this area. And what I would like to help them with is connect them to the world and reconnect Serbia. And that's one of the major things that's different between, you know, the rest of the world and Serbia. That connectivity with the scientific fabric, where they can quickly jump in and you know, it's like a pipeline of science. In Serbia, it's more of a heroic effort. So that's one of the things that I would like to change, to make science, especially AI, that's probably the easiest thing to do for now, to make science a relatively easy thing to do. You don't have to be a Hercules to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So I think with our initiatives, with the summer school that we are organizing and the workshops, we're really trying to fill this gap a bit, to bring more experts from abroad to provide mentorship and advice
I
to
love
people in
that.
Eastern Europe.
Yes, I love that. Yes, great.
Yeah, we have, yeah, we've met so many talented people there, and yeah, they really deserve all the guidance and mentorship. So maybe one other question that I had. So you mentioned all the positive aspects of AI and how this can improve our lives, but of course we cannot ignore that there are also negative aspects. So I wonder if you have an advice, or how do you think of this? Like, for example, fake news is really affecting a lot the society nowadays, and it's a sensitive topic. I don't know if you have, what is your view on such things?
Well, there's a lot of misinformation about what modern AI is, and we are trying to talk to different media outlets about what we are doing and what benefits we expect from working on AI. And I think it is working. We are not stopping there, even though it seems to be working. Recently, I met a Serbian Orthodox priest who is also an electrical engineer and who is really interested in ethics of technology. And he has a very positive outlook on technology, but with a really nice dose of skepticism as well, because we have to be careful how we use, uh, as he says, gifts from God. Maybe somebody else would call them developments that we did ourselves, regardless. And I totally agree with him. And uh, we agreed to meet in a public forum and discuss these things. So I'm looking forward to learning, from his standpoint, how all of this looks. Because remember how Terminator plot happened, okay? Uh, People designed an AI system to help save the planet, okay? And the AI, when it got turned on, it said, okay, what's the greatest threat to the planet? And started working on eliminating the biggest problem to the planet. So, we have to be really careful about what we do. And I really believe, I'm kind of like in agreement with Marie Curie, who said that there are so many ways to use science for bad things, but she hopes that humanity will use science for good things much more than for bad things. So we have to keep that positive outlook and be careful about it.
Yeah, I really love this answer. Yeah, we're also very optimistic about this, and that's why we try to enable everyone to learn about the field, because this will impact our lives in the future. And yeah, let's strive to make this a positive impact for everyone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Maybe just to add one more question, because you mentioned the connection to biological intelligence, that we can use this as something to strive for, to achieve that kind of efficiency and that kind of performance. So how do you see, could you develop a bit, how do you see the connection between artificial intelligence, human intelligence? Should we aim to follow biological intelligence as a gold standard, or we'll never get there because we are not working with biological tissues, we're working with silicon?
Yeah, I mean, there is a huge difference between a real neuron and an artificial neuron. So many layers of complexity that in our simple models of neurons we don't take into account. So I personally, I'm not terribly interested in achieving, real artificial intelligence. I don't know which way I would go about it, because there's so many things that we can already do and make our scientists stronger, make our whole civilization stronger, and benefit from new energy sources and all that. There's so much work there. And I'm sure there will be people who are interested in achieving different aspects of AI. And I would love to follow that as well. And I encourage everybody to follow all the development, because there's so many things happening. It's pretty much impossible to follow all of it, but at least at some level, we need to know what's happening in different applications. And one of the reasons is that there's so much cross-fertilization from different applications. Let's just mention transformers that evolved in NLP, but got noticed by computer vision people. They introduced new improvements that went back to NLP and so on. There's so much cross-fertilization, and that's only one of the reasons why it's good to follow the developments that are happening. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but I don't know much about how to achieve something similar to biological intelligence. It would be really impressive if we can do it, but also, getting closer to dangerous. So even more care is needed there, and ethics discussions.
Yes, I agree. We need to have the ethics discussion. And actually, the discussion you mentioned about the priest, that's really interesting to bring together religion and AI. These are all interesting topics.
Yeah, kind of like Matthew McConaughey and Jodie Foster in that movie. Was it Contact or something like that?
We have more questions. So from Marco, so he's wondering, like, the current NLP models like GPT-3 require a lot of hardware resources to train. Do you see Serbia being competitive in this field, in the space? Do you think you'll be able to train such big models in Serbia, or how do you see the relation with the countries that have more resources?
That's really a huge challenge. Such models, fortunately, have been pre-trained by major players in this area, and they're offering help to relatively small languages. Of course, Serbian is the most important language in the world, but most people don't accept that. So let's call it a small language. So yeah, luckily, big players offer a lot of help to develop AI and NLP for small languages. And our institute is actually looking at various options there, so that we can help in that effort.
Yes, so we are kind of in the same position with Romanian, and we actually had the project where we worked on creating a benchmark for Romanian language tasks, such that we can attract the international community at least to start testing their models also on Romanian. If we make the data available there, we are hoping that we'll see improvements anyway in that space.
Every day I see in the news things where things are made easier in terms of including smaller languages. And so I think we will meet somewhere. There will be a meeting point between big players trying to help smaller players, and there is nice atmosphere in AI where people really like to collaborate, and they open their work for everybody. Of course, there are limits to that. Companies need to preserve their investments in data sets, but in terms of algorithms, it's I'm amazed how much is being published. That was unprecedented in history of science, I would say. Things that can be commercialized, that are so openly published. So this is a beautiful area to work in for that reason as well.
Yeah. Another question, like, do you think the collaboration between industry and academia with the faculties in Serbia will be crucial for the development of AI in Serbia? Like, this is something that is, this kind of frameworks are developed in many other countries. What is your thought on that?
I have to admit, when I started working on, founding the institute with the rest of the team, I was much more optimistic about how fast we will get to projects with industry. But as we started talking to major players, domestic and international companies working in Serbia, we realized that there is not so much knowledge about what AI can do for industry. So I think we were forced to add to our to-do list to first inform and teach the industry about all the benefits, all the good things that AI can do for them. And, all that takes time. We already have signed MOUs and NDAs with several companies, and that keeps growing. That list keeps growing. But we're not terribly happy about how many projects we actually have with them. So we do need to step up the work on informing our colleagues in industry and seeing how best we can help them.
Yeah, I think this is you have an amazing experience now with the community in Serbia. We will definitely reach out to you from Romania, like to get this kind of insights, because it's really very useful.
It will be a
Else,
pleasure.
that's great to hear. Momchilo is asking if there are opportunities for undergraduate students at the AI Institute.
Yes, stay tuned. Visit our website, ivi.ac.rs. I think I have it somewhere close here. So visit our website frequently. We currently do not have any openings for undergraduates, but that is definitely in our plan. We need to have the whole knowledge or experience pyramid in order to be able to grow. So at the top, our senior researchers, then our juniors who are working on their doctorates and masters, and also even bigger part of the pyramid at their base, undergraduates who will help them grow and also grow themselves. So definitely there is a room for undergraduates to be, maybe summer interns or whole year-round interns. That would be great. We are not there yet, but we are working towards it. So stay tuned. Find somebody you know at the Institute, talk to them, see what you can do on your own before you join us. Soon we will have some educational programs on this website here on the bottom. So, we are working towards that. Yes, definitely. There is a lot of room for interns and a lot of learning opportunities all around us.
Okay, and we take one more question and then we'll move on to the next session. Jovan is asking which industries in Serbia could benefit the most from implementing machine learning and AI, in your opinion?
From what I've seen so far, the greatest opportunities are with companies working on different metaverse applications. That's really a new field and a really huge area of growth. I mean, to illustrate the importance, let's just mention that Facebook as a company changed into Meta. Okay, it's not for nothing. And so opportunities in the future metaverse applications. Then, of course, we have autonomous driving and pharmaceutical industry. There's a huge effort by the Serbian government and institutes to form the Bio4 environment, and there will be a lot of opportunities for AI there. So quite a few nice opportunities to collaborate between science and industry.
Okay, yeah, this is looking really, really positive for the future for the Serbian AI community, and I'm really happy to hear about this. Thank you again so much, Branislav, for joining us today.
Thank you, Viorica. La revedere. See you later.
Thank you. Okay, I will now hand over to Boban to tell us about the next session of the day.
Thank you, Erke. Thank you, Branislav, for amazing lecture. So I think we'll be able to pick up all of the questions which you might not get answered, or any new topics that anyone would like to start in our following format. So we'll be entering a social part of our event. Unfortunately, we are online, but hopefully we can get a bit closer together during our Gather Town, let's say, placeholders. So we'll be starting in a few moments. So hopefully around 3 p.m. we'll all be able to switch to Gather Town, and I will just give you a sneak peek of what is waiting there. So we already have people joining us there. So welcome everyone also to the Gather Town. We'll continue our, let's say, day there. We'll spend approximately 2 hours in our Gather Town, and you will be able to check out amazing posters prepared for this event, network with each other, and learn a bit more about Serbia and about our partners who supported this event. So hopefully you already received an email instruction how you can actually join our event, but we'll see to follow up with the message on the Slack channel as well, if that's a bit more convenient for you. So we'll be meeting here for the next 2 hours. So hopefully more of you will join us, and we'll celebrate the end of the first day.
Thank you, Boban. I would just like to add on top of that that we will have also in the Gather Town several DeepMinders, so DeepMind employees who are of Serbian origin. So people like myself and Jovana, and I think Alexa will be joining us as well. So if you'd like to chat to any of us about AI research, industry, academia, how to get from how to get from a background in say computer science or electrical engineering to some of the top AI labs industrially and academically, please feel free to reach out to any of us during the Gather session or during Slack at any point. Thanks so much. And I hope you enjoyed the program today.